The next example is to work out factors which when you multiply it will give you negative 18, but when you add it will give you negative 7. So what we're doing here, we're going to use the same procedure. So you have 18 2 into 18 will give you 9, and then the common factor into 9 is 3. 3 into 9 will give you 3, and then 3 into 3 will give you 1. If you combine these numbers, you have to find the multiplication, the combination that will give us, if when you multiply it will give us negative 18, but when we add it will give us negative 7. If you do 3 times 3, we find out that it is 9, and then 9 times 2 is equals to 18. But our 18 in the example given is negative. So we have to make sure one of these numbers is negative. Before we choose which number is negative, we have to check out this number. This number is negative. So we have to make sure that whatever number will give us as negative, the result when we add it to the other number should give us negative 7. Now let us do 9 plus 2. To get a negative 7, it means the larger number must be a negative. It means this one will be a negative 9. Negative 9 plus 2 will give you negative 7. And in that case, this one becomes a negative. Negative 9 times 2 will give you a negative 18. It means you have found those factors. It means that if an expression had negative 18 in it, and the middle term has 7, the separation would have been into negative 9 and 2. The next example is negative 1 and negative 6. So we have to find numbers when we multiply should give us negative 6, but when we add it will give you negative 1. You still use the division. So we don't necessarily have to use the negative. You can use it. So we have 6, 2 into 6, 3. 3 into 3, 1. So you'll see that we only have two numbers here. So basically our choice is limited to these two numbers. So we have 2 and 3. 2 times 3 is equals to 6. But we are looking for the number to be a negative 6. Then we have 2 plus 3. If we have both numbers 2 plus 3 as positive, we will find out the result will be 5. But then we are looking for the result to give us a negative 1. So if we need the result to be a negative, it means the larger number has to be negative. So we have 2 plus negative 3, that will give us a negative 1. Or 2 times negative 3, the result is indeed a negative 6. So in that case, the numbers needed are 2 and negative 3. Then in the next one, we have negative 2 and negative 15. We are supposed to find numbers when we multiply it should give us negative 15, but when we add it should give us a negative 2. I'll tell you from the top of my head that those numbers will be negative 5 and positive 3. But let us work it out to see if it is those numbers. So we're going to use 15. The first common factor in the 15 is 3. 3 into 15 will give us a 5. And then 5 into 5 will give us a 1. So if we look at this, when looking at a negative 15 and a negative 2. So if we look, we do 5 times 3, we found out that the result is 15. But we are looking at a negative 15. It means one of these numbers has to be negative. So let us look at 5 plus 3. That should give us negative 2. To get a negative 2, it means the larger number has to be negative. Negative 5 plus 3 will give you a negative 2. It means here you just put the negative here. And negative 5 times 3 will give you negative 15. And then you have negative 7 and 6. So you are trying to find numbers. When you multiply, it should give you a 6. And when you add or subtract, it should give you 7. Okay. To find these numbers, you find out that if you do 3 plus 2, will give you 5, which is not 7. But to get a 7, you would have to use 2 times 3 is 6 times 1. 6 times 1 is 6. Okay, sometimes you have to get creative, because you may try to use 2 and 3 throughout, and throughout you find out you will never find a 7. So you try other factors that may be possible in that case. So in our case, what works is 6 times 1. And if you do 6 plus 1, you find out that it will give you 7. But we are looking for negative 7 and positive 6. To get a negative 7, in this case, you have to make both of these numbers negative, and both here as negative will still give you a positive 6. If you do negative 6 plus negative 1, you get a negative 7. If you do negative 6 times negative 1, you get a positive 6. So it means our numbers are negative 6 and 1. Negative 6 and negative 1. Finally, you have a negative 18 and 3. You have to find numbers which, when multiply, should give you negative 18, but when you add, it should give you 3. So if you are looking for those numbers, you have to find the factors of 18. The first common factor would be 2. 2 into 18 being a 9. And then here you have a 3. 3 into 9 will be a 3. And then here you have a 3. 3 into 3 will give you a 1. From here, to find numbers that give you 18, and then when you add, they give you a 3. What numbers would they be? So let's try the combination of 2 times 3 will give you 6. Then multiplied by 3, it will give you 18. Now the 18 that we are looking for here is negative, but the sum of the numbers has to be a positive 3. So if we are to get a positive number, it means 6 plus 3 should give us positive 3. To get a positive 3 from here, it means one of these numbers has to be negative, and obviously the smaller one. 6 plus minus 3 will give us a positive 3. And then if you do 6 times negative 3, it will give you an 18. 6 times negative 3 will give you a negative 18, which is required in that example. So basically what those examples were trying to do was to give you a practice of what is required when finding the factors that will be needed to factorize an expression.